So here we go, Rising Star Awards. One of my favourite awards of the year. I absolutely love this award series because it brings people together from a multitude of different industries. We're the only awards, I think, that put 100 women on the stage that go pan-industry so that we can showcase all of the different areas of business where women are thriving. So what are the Rising Star Awards? So, as I said before, we are the first to focus on the UK female talent pipeline below director level. So what do I mean by that? So our award winners, we often at We Are the City, and we have done for all of the years that we've been around, we focus on that middle layer of women. So where it gets really sticky in your careers, you know, so they're the people that we want to shine a spotlight on. So for whatever reason, they're not making it to the next level, and we can come along, and you're magnificent as you are, but we can put a big old light in front of you and say, look at this incredible woman, look at what she's doing. So that's what we're after. So there are categories within the awards, which I'll talk about later, for champions. These are more the senior individuals, but the 100 awards and the 20 categories within are for those women that we identify as in the middle layer. So this means you won't be running a huge team. Like a small team of like 5, maybe even up to 10 is fine. If you're a female founder, obviously we know that you're not running a big team, you kind of sit on your own, but you won't have like a large budget responsibility, or you won't have a global responsibility unless you're in our global category. So this is for women that are kind of excelling in their industries, but also giving back to other people. And I'll touch on that a little bit more later. So we're in our 11th year, which is amazing. We have an alumni of well over 1,100 women and some men under our Men for Gender Balance category. And as I said, we're a big family. So once you win the awards, hopefully, you know, you become part of that family. But there's always We Are the City that sits outside of that, which is also a community too. So we're looking for, as I say, women that are excelling in their jobs and doing other things kind of outside. So if I just move on to the other one. Awards started in 2015. I think I've said we've got 1,150 actually is Rising Stars. We run the awards in India as well for 3 years, which was absolutely amazing. And we've had winners that have won our India awards that have come to win our UK awards, which is even great. I've explained the women below director level. There are no age limits to our awards as well. We believe you can be a rising star regardless of what age you are. It's a two-step process. So basically, and I'll go into this in a little bit more detail, you can nominate yourself, and we love self-nominations, right? No one tells your story like you do, or someone else can nominate you, but then we need the supporting information from you. We need you to tell your story. So that's the kind of bit that we're really, really interested in. There's no cost. We don't believe in charging people to enter awards. There's no cost for you whatsoever. Obviously, when we do have the big event that takes place up in London, there is a ticket price associated with that. Venues are pricey, and we put on a really good show. So, you know, there is a ticket cost if you win and you come to that celebration in July. So we welcome nominations from all individuals who choose to identify as women. If you look at our judges, which I think are going to be released soon, we take a lot of care in who we pick to judge our awards. They reflect our wider community, they reflect different diverse backgrounds, but they also reflect that industry knowledge that we look for within each categories. In terms of why we're slightly different as well, it's the development program that we put in after the awards that I think is most significant. As I say, it's access to the WhatsApp group. It's the 1 to 10 calls where we get all of the kind of categories. We group a couple of you together onto a call so everyone can meet each other, talk a bit about where they need help. And it's amazing what comes as a consequence of those calls on how people can kind of help mentoring, skills, you know, even connections and things like that. But we also have a partnership with Warwick Business School. So there's a day where all of the winners get to hang out with their professors. There's other events. So for example, even next week, we have an event for all of last year's winners for Rising Stars and all of the Tech Women 100, where I'll be going through like how to carve a career strategy and associated plan and goals. So there's all these other little events that we do for that award winners community. So we're with you for the year afterwards and always on the end of a phone. Again, I like to emphasize this point. You don't have to be nominated by your company to enter. If you want to nominate yourself, then you can. Why shouldn't you? If you want to nominate someone else, you know, I don't think you need permission from anyone. We just want to hear your amazing stories. So Our family of Rising Star winners, and I talked to them, there are so many that I could put on this slide, and what the ladies have gone on to do. And we try and track as many of that kind of 1,150 as we can. But I often see them popping up on TV, writing books, speaking on big stages. We've got the wonderful Liv Cook. She's a freestyle champion football. I think she does freestyle football, but she's like a world record holder. She was 16 when she won our awards. I think she's 24 now. She's gone off into the property industry, but she's kind of super famous. We've got Olympians, Paralympians, ones that have won King's Honours. We need to change that. Speaking on careers and panels, and say interviews, radios, documentaries. So it's amazing to see what these ladies have gone on to do. And don't get me wrong, they were marvellous long before we come along. But, you know, tracking them and seeing what they've gone on to next is absolutely amazing. And the great thing is a lot of the award winners, you know, they've put that they're award winners in their bios in LinkedIn. So people can go off and kind of, you know, connect. You can really build your network out as well. So Rising Star Award categories, we have the individual. So basically there are 20 industry categories. And we look for nominations within those categories. I'm going to come on to them in a second. So you will nominate within the category of your choice. So say, for example, you're a lawyer, you could nominate into the law category. But also, if you was a lawyer that was working at a tech company, there's nothing to stop you entering the tech category either. So have a think about where you think you're best positioned across the different categories. So individuals, we have, so nominations come in for that. We shortlist 10, so 10 people within that category, and we have 5 winners. So there's not an individual winner, there's 5 winners. The champion is a senior individual of any gender who is championing gender equality, either inside or outside their organisation. So this isn't their job. They're not a D&I person or anything like that. They are someone who is just passionate about the progression of women. Perhaps it's somebody in your world that has sponsored you or put you forward for opportunities or stuff like that. Think about who the champions are, because obviously we want to showcase them and what they're doing for women. We then have Men for Gender Balance. So this is a category for men only. So these are advocates and champions and sponsors of women. So who do you know? Could be someone who's lifted you in your career, could be someone that you've worked with, or somebody else that you've perhaps seen on LinkedIn that you think, oh my God, they're amazing. But the Men for Gender Balance category is for a senior man who's championing women and gender balance inside or outside their organisation. But they're doing it kind of because they want to off the side of their desk, not because it's part of their role. The company category, a company that clearly articulates their commitment to supporting their female talent pipeline. So we don't give away our company award easy. We've got to see demonstrable, you know, impactful things that the company's done through leadership programs, you know, sponsorship, mentorship, like some sort of advocacy. You know, we want to see that they've been on a journey, and they might not be there. I don't think any company is particularly there where it needs to be, and that's forever changing, but they've got to be making strides towards whatever that looks like. And then we have our Global Achiever. So this award is open globally. So the rest of the awards are UK, but this one is for our global guests as well. So any industry, as long as they're below director level. So in terms of categories, we have all other industries. So if you're looking at this list going, oh, my industry is not there, that's where you want to nominate all other industries. We have banking and capital markets. We have charities and not-for-profits. So networks, charities, defence. So you've got some public sector, but I'll come on to that one. Digital, diversity and inclusion, education and academia, energies and utilities, entrepreneurs and startups. So for all of you female founders, it doesn't matter if you're just one woman running a company, you know, if you're doing something marvelous, entrepreneurs and startups is your category. We've got ESG, we've got healthcare and wellbeing, HR and recruitment, insurance, law, media and advertising, professional services and consulting, property, and public sector, which is a new category. So anywhere within the public sector, from whether you work for the government, the NHS, any one of the services, public sector is your category. Technology, which is always a busy category. And we've got a new one for telecoms. So they are your categories. But if your industry is not showing, you can go for all other industries. So in terms of timelines, so nominations opened on the 13th of January. They close on the 3rd of March. Now, when we close our doors, we're closing our doors for nominations, but supporting information as well. So if you nominate yourself and you fill in all your information and you go through the system on Awards Force and you've submitted it, you're done. That's great. It's now in our system. We will look after it until it goes off to our judges. If someone else nominates you, you'll get an automated email, so make sure you always check your spam folders. And then we'll be asking you for your supporting information. That supporting information needs to be in by the 3rd. So don't leave it to the last minute whereby you're nominating yourself on the 2nd, because come the 3rd, we need to close the platform because it takes us a long time to download all of the nominations and get them into an order for our judges. So when we have people, which we always do, asking for extensions, you know, we generally give you a little bit of time, but if you can try and make the 3rd, that would be amazing. So by the 29th, all our judges would have done their amazing work, and obviously reading through these nominations. We get about 1,300 nominations across the categories. So it takes a lot of work to get to this particular point. We have the shortlist announcement, which is generally done on X, it's done on LinkedIn, and it's there that we take the headshot that you provided us. And we've got also your short bio. So that all gets published on our website. So again, when you're writing the short bio, we don't put any of your other questions in, but that general short bio, when you're putting that in, bear in mind, that's what we're going to publish. Sometimes we publish it on the shortlist and people come back, oh, that's changed, or can I change that? Which causes the team a really lot of work. So make sure that bio is something that you're comfortable with if you get shortlisted being on a website. Same with your picture. You know, we get loads on shortlisting days. Oh, I don't like that picture anymore. Can I change it? And, you know, my team are kind of pulling their hair out on announcement day. So take your time. You've got a good 5 weeks now to kind of get all this stuff in order. So we announce a shortlist and we open something called the public vote. Now, the public vote has nothing to do as to whether you win or not. It is an additional award. So if you want to go out there and ask for votes for this other award, the Public Vote Award, you are more than welcome to. If you're just happy sitting being shortlisted in your category, you can just stay quiet about it, and then fingers crossed, obviously you go through to the winners. So it is an extra award. It's not a popularity contest. Our judges decide our winners. The public vote is a separate one. So if you think you've got this huge network and you want to bag a second award on the night, then you can go for the public vote here. I think it's a nice way of telling everyone that you've been shortlisted, and we'll come on to that in a second. 13th of May, the voting closes. The 28th of May, we're also one of the only awards that does a shortlisting event. So thanks to our wonderful headline sponsors, RBC, they have a beautiful venue. It's in the middle of the City of London, and we all amalgamate onto the rooftop on there, and we celebrate our shortlist. So 200 women that have been shortlisted, some winners from the previous years. It's a wonderful night. We have a panel of previous winners. We have drinks on the rooftop, and hopefully the sun is shining. So that is the shortlist event. We're the only awards that actually bring the shortlist together. So even if you only got to this particular point, it's a massive achievement to be shortlisted. Your profile's out there, you know, your face on the website, your stories on the website, you've been to a shortlisting event. A lot of people say at that particular juncture, they feel like they've already won. You've met loads of other incredible women as well. So on the 4th of June, we will announce our winners. Again, that's on X, that's on LinkedIn. And then finally, on the 10th of July is the Winners' Awards ceremony, which is always in a beautiful hotel up in London, a chance to dress up, you know, and have your moment on that stage. And thereafter, obviously, all of the kind of support that we offer you kind of kicks in. So that is the timeline. But the date I really want to point out to you is that 3rd of March, you know, getting that nomination in. So the people that make this happen, we're forever grateful to them because they sponsor the different award categories that are strategically important to them, from like Knight Frank in property to Reed Smith in law, you know, PwC Insurance, Warner Brothers Media. You know, these are wonderful, wonderful companies that without them, we wouldn't be able to put these awards on, and we certainly wouldn't be able to put in the support. So a huge thank you to them, and especially to RBC, who've kind of been with us for the last 5 years. So amazing company that kind of get behind us. So why should you enter the awards? From my perspective, it will open up doors of opportunity for you. You can get your story out there, you know, speak about your achievements. And this isn't just our awards. I think this goes for any awards. You know, if you want to step up as a role model in your industry, awards are a great kind of way of doing it. Again, your digital story, right? Everyone has a digital story, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether you've got a website, wherever you're putting it, you know, to be even nominated, right? Shortlisted, win an award, anything like that, all forms part of your kind of stories. So from my perspective, it's a no-brainer. What have you got to lose? It's not going to cost you anything. You've obviously got a story because you're here and you're spending time with me, which is great. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? So that's what I think. So, and I talk to a lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't really like awards, or I don't want to put myself out there for a number of different reasons. You know, and it can feel a little bit daunting, especially if you got shortlisted. And I've spoken to lots of our other ladies, like on our calls that we have with winners afterwards, and they're like, I felt a little bit, you know, nervous about putting it on LinkedIn. Did people think I was bragging or boasting? You know, are there other people thinking, you know, maybe they're not that good, or, you know, everyone's got an opinion, right? You know, so it is that whole imposter syndrome, I think, that sometimes can hold us back. And what I would say to you is, you shouldn't worry about what people think, right? This is your story. You know your story. And if you're trying to raise your profile in some way, awards are a great way of doing it. And awards like ours, I think we kind of go above and beyond to support you in that journey. It's more than an award for us. It's about kind of where you go afterwards. So in terms of looking at your story, and I get this a lot when I'm talking to people, I don't think I've done enough. You've all done enough. You know, if you're here and you're listening and you know that you're excelling in your job, you know, you know what you're doing there, and you're trying to help other people, because this is the money shot for us. We want to raise the profile of people that have an ethos of helping others, because that's very much what we're about. You know, being a rising star isn't just winning an award and being part of that community. It's being called on that if we wanted you to go and help one of your fellow rising star winners, you would do what you can to help that person. It may mean if we called upon you to go and speak in a school to inspire girls, that you would be absolutely, if you know, if time accommodates it, I'm up for that. So we want those people with the mindset of, you know, I'm growing and I'm growing as a person and I'm, you know, doing the best that I can be, but actually I'm there to lift as I climb, so to speak. So think about that. Sometimes it's our own imposter syndrome that's in our head saying, I've not done enough, or, you know, maybe I'll wait till next year. And then next year will come and you'll be like, oh, I'll wait till next year. Time is now. And even if you go through the process and you familiarize yourself with it, you know, hopefully this year is the year for all of you. But even if it's not, that you'll come back next year. You know, we have so many award winners that didn't win the first year round, but they've come back the second and they've won, or they've come back the third and they've won. You know, put it on that list. I'm going to stand on that stage. There was one of our ladies last year that said she came to the awards and she was like, I'm going to be there next year. And she'd done loads of different things throughout the year. And sure enough, she was on our stage last year, which was lovely to see. So set it as a goal. So what makes a good nomination? And again, I'm coming at this as a judge of many different other awards. When I read an awards nomination, I've read some for other different awards, and what I get is 2-line answers to some of the questions. When I look at that, that just smacks that someone hasn't had the time, or they're not really interested in the award. Now, that doesn't mean we want chapter and verse in terms of the answers, but I can tell just by reading something, and I'm sure our judges can, the people that have taken a little bit of time to answer the questions. So I want to, when I'm reading an award nomination, I want you to take me on a bit of a journey. You know, tell me about you. Tell me about times when you've overcome kind of adversity. You know, I want to know who you are. I want to know a little bit about your background. In terms of what you've achieved, you know, sometimes people have a tendency to bullet point all of their different achievements, and that's great. We can scan through a list. But really, sometimes it's nice to detail them, but pick out the ones that meant the most to you, where they had the most impact. Again, these answers, they don't have to be chapter and verse of pages and pages. You know, just be concise. I often think when you're writing something, even when you're writing something on LinkedIn, there's something I always think, I always talk about called cause and effect. So what did you do? And what was the effect of that? So you can look at it another way. What did you do and what was the impact of what you done? What were the consequences of that action? So sometimes when you read something, some people have called it like the so what thing. You know, you read it and you go, so what? What I want you to do is to write something, but then have the piece that comes afterwards. And this led to X, or this led to Y. So things like that. So detailed how you're helping others is massively important. Cause and effect I've talked about. giving things context as well. And I talk about this a lot during my talks. Sometimes by adding a little context, you increase the gravitas of what you've done. So I always kind of give this example. If I just had on my LinkedIn, I'm a project manager at an investment bank, you know, and then I talk about my company and how many places it is in the world and stuff, which is all great, but it's not relevant. How about if I kind of added a little bit more to that? So I'm a project manager at a retail bank with a portfolio of £200 million worth of change, delivering 75 projects across 6 geographies, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, my job has gone from this, from what the line that I read, to this. So sometimes think about just adding a little bit of context, breadth, numbers, scope of what you're doing, impact of what you did. So if you kind of keep that in your mind, context, numbers, breadth, scope, impact, like they're the main things that you want to kind of apply to your sentences. Again, where have you gone above and beyond? When you've hit a wall and you've thought innovatively, how do I navigate around this wall? What is it that you did and what impact did that lead to? And again, as I said to you earlier on, self-nominations are awesome. Tell us a story, you know, tell us your story. And again, there's lots of different ways that you can bounce it off of other people and make sure that you've got it right. But I hope that gives you a good insight into what a lot of these awards are looking for. What is it, just a little bit about you, what is it that kind of why you're entering this category, what you're doing at work, but where you've helped others, where you've gone above and beyond, what impact that's had. That's the story that we want, and that makes it so much easier for our judges. So what they're looking for, obviously, that you meet the criteria, that you're in the right category. Hopefully we sort that out before we send it off to our judges, but you meet the criteria for the award. So, for example, if you're in one of the industry categories that you're not too senior for that, you know, if the opening line is I run a budget of 100 million and I look after 100 people, that you're in the wrong category. Now, hopefully we catch that before, and we might say to you, you need to be in the champions category. So sometimes when we get these nominations in, we look at it and we think, oh, maybe they're in the wrong place. But if that's the case, we'll contact you. That you spent time on your nomination. Again, we haven't got one word, one sentence answers. Spelling, layout, easy to read as best you can. You're telling us a story. Your achievements and impacts are there. Delivering as initiatives, as I said earlier on, lifting as you climb. That could be anything from schools in work to setting up ERGs in work to finding a problem that exists and trying to solve it, leaving the world in a better place in which you found it. Again, overcoming adversity to find the odds to achieve your goals. And also, we're always interested in if you've taken any risks. You know, sometimes people see things and they're like, oh, you know, that's too risky, but actually you've said, you know what, I can see that. I see the risk, but I'm going to go for it anyway. It was a bit of a risk, but it worked out. Or maybe it didn't, but you've learned as a consequence of that. So the awards platform, it's a beautiful platform to use. So you basically create an account with your details, choose the category which your nomination fits in, select if you're nominating yourself or someone else, and you just complete the information. Now, you only have to submit when you're ready, so you can save as you go. So this is something you could start this afternoon, have a look at it, have a look at some of the questions, just pop some basic answers in there, come back to it next week, add a little bit more to it, and so and so and so and so, until you are ready to submit. Now, that is if you're doing a self-nomination. If you're doing a nomination for someone else, I would advise you to get it in as quick as you can, because sometimes what happens is people will go and nominate someone on the 2nd of March, and that only gives the person on the 3rd of March 1 day to get their supporting information in. So the earlier we do the nominations, the absolute better. So it's all automated by email. So when you submit, as I say, you can save and go backwards and forwards before you actually do the final submitting. Sometimes we also get people nominate contact us on the day, and they're like, you know, I don't think I've submitted my nomination, I haven't got anything back. It's probably because you've forgotten to actually press the final submit button. So we get loads of these. So again, just make sure you submit. You're always welcome to drop us an email saying, have you got it, so that we can confirm. So self-nominations only, again, slightly different process. One of the things I would do, you could say you can complete your supporting information, save along as you go, review it and submit. do check your spam folders and your inbox, because we have this, obviously companies have firewalls where emails get caught up in spam and stuff like that. So it's always good. So you can do this with your work email address, or if you've got a Gmail address or anything like that, but just make sure you're checking those spam folders and, you know, marking us as safe senders or whatever you can, so that you do receive emails. So important reminders for you all. And this doesn't just go for awards, this goes for everything. Don't underplay your achievements. Don't whisper your wins, I think is the best line that I've heard. Avoid listing every single certification. What we don't want to see is a list. You can have them there, but pick out the main ones that you're really, really proud of. Try not to write the statement without explaining the impact. I think I've waxed lyrical about that. Ask someone to review. You know, if you're not happy, just hit submit, get someone else to read it. You'll often find that, and again, when we nominate other people, we kind of, you know, we absolutely blow their trumpet and toot their horn, yet when we're writing about ourselves, it feels really awkward. Some of you may wish to write in a third person if you find that a little bit easier, but you'll probably, if you show it to someone else, somebody will probably say, oh, you forgot about that, or didn't you do that? You know, so it's always good to kind of get someone else to have a look. Remember, what you write in your bio will be published. Thing to put out there. Get the headshot right. Again, I'm just saving my team time swapping out headshots if you make it to shortlisting. Save what you write, and again, you've got that till the 3rd of March to submit that nomination and supporting information.